From Silicon Slopes, I'm your host, Josh Matches, and I'm joined by Jimmy McNelis, the NFT degen of NFT42. Thank you so much for joining us.
Josh, thanks so much for having me today.
So talk to us about your company and what you guys do.
Sure. So NFT42, as the name suggests, is we create NFTs. And for anybody who hasn't heard of NFTs before, it's non-fungible tokens. These are like cryptocurrency itself represents currency, whereas non-fungible tokens, those tokens represent things like a real estate asset or a vehicle rather than a currency itself. So NFT42 creates NFT projects for businesses for them to be able to offer NFTs to the world. One of the big ones that we've done so far has been Gary Vaynerchuk's VeeFriends.
And we've seen BeFriends, but you have such an interesting journey to cryptocurrency and to the NFTs. Could you tell our audience a little bit about that journey?
Sure. So I used to work for Google back in like 2014, and then eventually I quit working there and decided to move to the woods. I bought a cabin in the woods and got a dog and hung out in the woods for a couple years. And then I got pretty bored, so I decided to go to some different woods. I went across the country to the Appalachian Trail, which is a 2,000-mile trail that goes from Georgia to Maine, and I started hiking on that for a little while.
And where were you along this trail?
I was in Georgia, and I made it up to Virginia when I was walking next to a guy one day after a couple months, and he was telling me he was making money while he was walking down the trail, and I was like, well, how are you doing that? And he said, I'm mining Bitcoin. And I said, oh, wow, Bitcoin, it's still around? Because I remember Bitcoin from like 2014. We're in 2017 now on the trail. And he said, yeah, and it's worth, I think he said like $4,000. And I remember that was like 10 times more than the last time I had thought about Bitcoin about 3 years ago before that. And I said, wow, that's cool. I'm not making money while I'm walking down the trail. You're doing this better than me. So I lasted a couple more weeks on the trail, but I kept thinking about what he said. And I just had to get off the trail and go start mining. I built Ethereum mining rigs instead of Bitcoin. But I went home and started mining Ethereum. And then it was not too long after that CryptoKitties actually launched, and my cat had run away the night before, and I thought she was gone forever, so I got a CryptoKitty to memorialize her. And that was on December 4th, 2017, and ever since then I've not stopped thinking about NFTs.
Amazing. And so the NFT game is huge right now, but talk to us about not just NFT42, but Nameless and some of the other projects that you're working on.
Sure, yeah, thanks. So what I did is after I collected my first CryptoKitty, I became pretty involved in that community and ended up, like I said, I've thought about it every day. Eventually I started to come up with some ideas of my own. One of them was called Avastars. That's a personal profile picture project that stores all of the art directly on the Ethereum blockchain. So that was our claim to fame for that. And then after we did that, we actually launched a business to help other people create and sell NFTs, and that's called Nameless. And that was where we worked with Gary Vaynerchuk initially to create VeeFriends, and now we also worked with Sotheby's to do some auctions on their platforms, NFT auctions. We've worked with Snoop Dogg, we've worked with Des Bryant of the Dallas Cowboys, and we're getting ready to launch our platform to the public here in the coming months.
That's really exciting. So
yeah.
Jimmy, what's the future of NFTs? Where do you see this all heading?
You've asked the right or wrong person about that, because
Amazing.
I believe that NFTs are going to be everything. They're going to be pervasive throughout the future. I think in the next 5-10 years, there will not be a person in the world who's not familiar with NFTs and isn't using NFTs. It's basically an ownership layer for the internet, and it's what's been missing for at least the last 20 years. If you think about when Napster came around, and some people were downloading music illegally, but it was the only way to get digital files at the time. People weren't doing it because they wanted to pirate music, it's because they wanted easy access to digital files. What NFTs does is it fixes what Napster broke, in that you can prove you own a digital file now. So people could actually go, a musical artist could go and sell 1 million digital copies of their file. They do this today on like Apple's iTunes store and stuff, but you can actually do it now through an NFT, and actually the person who purchases it can own it, they can sell it, they could rent it out, they could lease it, they can do things with it that they couldn't do if they just purchased it on the iTunes platform. And it also allows the creators that are making the NFTs, these artists, to capture a larger portion of the revenue and connect directly to their audience. So it's a highly disruptive, I just used music as one example there. There's not one industry that NFTs won't touch and disrupt.
Couldn't agree more. I know you have to be on stage, but I have one final question.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite NFT project now that isn't yours?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Bored Apes Yacht Club.
Of course.
So if you, hopefully you guys have heard of Bored Apes. If you haven't, look
Is
it
that
up.
your PFP right now?
It is on a couple different platforms. I have my own Avatar project because it's the one I created, but I have a golden ape with a captain's hat and a spacesuit. So I've got a really prolific Bored Ape. I actually have 74 Bored Apes still, so I have a lot of Bored Apes.
That's a huge claim to fame. 74?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Talking to the
And
Bored Ape collector.
One's going on auction next month in Sotheby's. This month, actually. It's my other golden furred ape. He's wearing a beanie and a turtleneck. So if you're interested in getting a golden ape, there'll be one on Sotheby's at the end of this month.
Amazing. Jimmy, thank you so much for joining us here at Nasdaq. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.